Welcome to AstroEnergy with astrologer angel Shelley Overton. Hello and welcome to the AstroEnergy show for December 19th, 2017. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and it is wonderful to be back and talking to you today. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening again. I normally post a replay, and I didn't do that this time. I think I was just kind of completely stressed with everything that I had to get done before I left town. But yeah, I went away on vacation, and it was a wonderful kind of fantasy vacation. I had my sister called or texted about 3 or 4 months ago and said, "Hey, Shell, would you like to go to Hawaii?" And I said, "Yeah, you don't have to ask me twice." So she actually gave me and my parents an all expenses paid trip to Hawaii. So that's where I was. I was in Maui, and I have to tell you, it was phenomenal, and I have never had an experience like that. She had us in a wonderful inclusive. Well, it wasn't inclusive per se, but most things were paid for, and it was overlooking the water, and I had a view of the island of Lanai. And I don't want to rub it in too much, but it was quite wonderful. And if you follow me on Instagram or, on my Art Shelley Instagram account, you can see some of the photos that I took there. And I don't like to tell people before I leave where I'm going or when exactly I'll be gone, but now that I'm back, I can tell you. So anyway, I would not be truthful if I didn't say that I was a little bit worried and concerned about the travel time because, as you know, Mercury in Sagittarius went retrograde, and that went into Sagittarius, or was almost out of Sagittarius at 29 degrees when it retrograded. And so in the course of retrograding, it was conjunct moons and suns and Venuses and Saturns and travel. Actually, there aren't any plural planets, of course, but suffice it to say, it's been transiting over a lot of planets during the course of this trip, and I was very concerned about flying during that time. And fortunately and unfortunately for others, it actually did affect travel, but it didn't affect it the way I thought, which would be something more catastrophic, which is why I was very concerned. The airport at Atlanta closed on the day I was returning, and that was the 17th. So it was interesting because I was checking online for my current flight status, and I noticed that all the Atlanta flights have been canceled, and I'm just like, what's going on in Atlanta? And I talked to my daughter, and she said that it had been closed due to a power outage. Well, surprise, surprise. Mercury rules electricity, Sagittarius rules travel, and of course it was a massive outage. So, and then Mars, of course, is coming up on Jupiter and Scorpio, and Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So all sorts of interesting things can happen. And at the same time, Uranus in Aries, this is today, Uranus in Aries is trining Venus, Sun, Saturn. So, that is interesting. Trines are considered a positive aspect, but trines can also bring upheaval before they bring benefit. And, so today probably is going to also be another difficult day of travel because we have Sun at late degrees coming up on Saturn at 27 Sagittarius and 29 Sagittarius. So we're going to see some restrictions coming in. And again, this afternoon, late today, this is kind of the update of what's going on now. Later today, Saturn enters into Capricorn. Right now, currently, Saturn is at 29 degrees and 55 minutes. So there are 60 minutes in astrological time. So every degree is a full degree plus the 59 minutes before it goes into the next degree. And so we have 5 minutes of astrological time, which, if you wonder how long that is for Saturn, it is roughly 12 hours, because right now it is 11:05 and it goes in at 11:49 p.m. Eastern time. So that's 12 hours of time. 5 minutes of Saturn is equal to 12 hours of Earth time. So it kind of gives you an idea of how long it lasts on Saturn, at least from our perspective. So, yeah, I mean, how do I say this? Yeah, it's difficulty traveling, when you're taking off at certain times and the moon is in a particular spot. I was eyeing the moon as it was approaching the sun, because literally we were pulling back from the gate. My flight was to take off at 9:30 at night in Los Angeles. After I got into Los Angeles, I had a 5-hour layover. Excuse me a minute. I had a little tickle in my throat there. So I was looking at my online current chart, and the moon was at 25 degrees Sagittarius. The sun was at 26 degrees Sagittarius, and I really wanted to take off on time because 9:37 was our takeoff time, and we had some delays and everything. And I really wanted to get there as the moon was on an approach to the sun and not coming away from it, because the moon was at the last degrees of waning, and it was new at 10:51 p.m. So it was approaching the varying degrees, and I just wanted to take off in time before it went past the sun into a new moon, before it hit Saturn. That, to me, even it just personally was a little bit more of a stressful aspect, and I didn't want to initiate anything during that particular aspect. So I was kind of keeping an eye on it, like, let's go. And we did take off. I think they were both at 25 degrees. And and that was in LA. So I was keeping a watch on that. But my actual ephemeris on my app was attuned to Louisville, Kentucky, and there was no way for me to change it at that particular moment in time. So I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure this will be okay, but let's go. Anyway, it was fine. There was a lot of turbulence, but we got in okay, and I think it was a little bit more on edge than normal. But I didn't have a choice in setting up the airline travel plans, so it's kind of like you get what you get. Anyway, I also, and this is for those of you who are wondering, well, what do you do if you have travel during aspects that are less than favorable? First, personally, I have other belief systems in place besides just astrology, and I have a routine when I get on a plane. I always touch the right side of the entry, and it just makes me feel connected and grounded a little bit more. And then I also call on my angels to help me. And I tell you what happened, what helped with the turbulence was I actually did Reiki on the plane and Reiki on the air around the plane. And right after I started doing Reiki, because they had announced about 10 minutes into the turbulence, because it was like I had just gotten almost a full glass. It was an inch below the surface, the top edge of the glass of cranberry juice. And it was sitting there next to me when the turbulence hit, and it was sloshing. I started, and I realized it was mostly cranberry flavoring with high fructose corn syrup. I could tell the flavor. It didn't have that bitter, dry edge you get with real cranberry. And so I decided I really didn't want to drink it, but it was so close to the top, I actually had to drink some down because they weren't coming around. The flight attendants had to sit down as well. And so 10 minutes into the flight, or into the turbulence, I was looking at my cranberry juice sloshing around, and I'm like, okay, well, Michael, Archangel Michael, please, bubble up this jet and make it smooth. And I talked to all sorts of entities trying to help, but then I decided, well, I'm going to just send Reiki to the outside of the plane into the air in our path. And honestly, it's smooth. And just before that, they had announced it was going to be up to 30 minutes of turbulence, but literally I did that and it pretty much calmed down right after that. So I was very, very happy about that. But really what I do is I'm on this plane. I can't stop myself from doing anything else. I got to get home. I'm not going to change plans. There is no changing the plans. So here I am. So you just kind of accept what is, and you give yourself over to kind of a higher consciousness. That's what I do. And you know, you just know that in the past you've made it through, and you'll probably make it through again. I just focus on what it'll be like getting on the ground and hugging my daughter. So that being said, for all of you who are traveling this week for Christmas, I wish you complete safety and calmness. Always double check your time, check with online to make sure things are going smoothly. And quite honestly, the last thing I want to say about it is going through the TSA. If you can focus on how you want it to be and not what you fear, it will help. Because I went through, and my biggest thing was I don't want to have to get scanned, the full body scan, because I thought they still did the x-ray kind of thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I got in the bad line for that. I'm like, oh no, they're going to scan me here. So I went over to the faster line, and my parents went with me. Then I'm like, well, on the other one, the first one, it looks like they actually have a walkthrough as well. So I'm going to go back over there. 20 minutes it took me to get through, and my parents zoomed through when I moved the line, quick line. They zoomed through in less than 5, and I was still there 20 minutes later, and it had the worst, everything that you didn't want to have happen, they did. I mean, I was scanned, I was patted on my shoulders, I mean, on and on and on. So anyway, it was an experience, but the bad was very minor compared to the amazing good. So I guess I want to give you that on your travels, that it's going to be okay. Saturn after tonight will be in Capricorn. It does mean it's literal, and this is something I've been thinking about all week. It's kind of a 1-for-1. When Saturn's been going through Sagittarius, it was a lot like, optimism ruled the day, and if you have a positive outlook, very amazing things can happen. And that's kind of what I noticed a lot, is that your attitude matters, and that at the same time there is a polarization of positive and negative. And we did see, and I personally saw in many areas of my life, attitudes or influx of money or whatever the event is, there is a really high and a low, or a good and a bad, and it was the high-low roller coaster ride. And Saturn in Capricorn, obviously Saturn rules Capricorn, so it's its own sign, means more literal thinking. It is 1-for-1. That's kind of the imagery I get with this, is that whatever you put out is what you get back, and it's exact. It's like not fluffy or frilly or anything like that. It's just going to come back to you exactly as it's put out. So say, and I had an experience like this as well with Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius and the moon in Sagittarius yesterday, having words with my mom, things that were painful to hear and slap me in the face. And that kind of high extreme drama, because it's a fire sign, is going to calm down more into more pragmatism. And a lot of the things we'll be doing, we'll be cleaning closets, clearing clutter, renovating, making things more streamlined, and things will go much more down to earth. Planting things, planting gardens, having more awareness of the food we put in our body, especially after Mercury goes into Uranus in May. We're going to have a huge amount of power in earth energy. So it's going to be about earthquakes. It's going to be about how we interact with the earth and what we do to the earth, much more awareness about our material surroundings, including the physicality of our bodies. And I want you to start paying attention to what your body is telling you. So when you feel pain, that is connected to your environment. I really strongly believe this. I was on vacation with a lot of septuagenarians. My aunts and uncles are mostly in their 70s, with 2 exceptions, but most of them, with the exception of my uncle, my youngest uncle, and his wife, who are active. They're active, and they eat well, and they walk and exercise. The rest of my family doesn't have a regular exercise routine, and most of them had health issues, and we had to work around some of those health issues. So when planets are in Earth, you're going to be seeing direct connections to belief systems and your body. Your body is telling you how you feel, it's telling you your belief systems. So what are the continuous you have? How do you behave in reference to your body? Are you treating it well? I mean, it helps me kind of to think of my body as a separate entity, and it has feelings and ideas about health. And if you listen to your body, you will get the message on what to do. And I find that when I have, oh, that's another thing. So when I was there, I drank like a small, I had a can of Coke, and I poured it in a cup and had maybe half of it. And we were getting ready to go out, and I had 3 sharp pains right around my heart. And of course, I'm very aware of heart issues in my family. My father's had some heart issues, but I've had that kind of pain before, and it usually comes either with ingesting things like potato chips with the oil, if it's not a good kind of oil, or sugar, and of course, carbonation. So right after I had this Coca-Cola, it was like pain, pain, and I was like screaming, like, ow! And then after that, I started breathing. I kind of, just calmed down, calmed my stomach down, by relaxing. And anyway, it was okay after that. But that's your body telling you it doesn't like what you're putting in it. And those messages will be coming loud and clear when we start to eat the wrong things. I mean, I get them all the time. When I'm eating green things, I feel good about myself. I feel clear. I feel like I'm doing something good for my life and myself. And when I eat poorly, yeah, I feel pains and I feel aching in my joints, gluten, and all that stuff. And your body tells you. So that's coming up with this earth energy. And I know I may lose a few listeners at this point because people don't want to hear things that upset their routine. And I think that's probably our biggest block to getting healthy and doing better things in the new year. And if you're thinking of making resolutions for diets, I would wait till honestly after the 3rd when Uranus goes direct. You may end up having to redo that. And even though it's not January 1st, the New Year's resolutions with Uranus moving direct is going to be more powerful than Uranus retrograde. And if you make it on the 1st, 3 days later, Uranus moves direct. So Uranus is quantum energy, and that means it comes at us from different directions, and people with strong Uranus Aquarius in their chart have different ideas. And when the planet that rules ideas and concepts is retrograde, then flips back direct, you're going to change mind. And so that's definitely something to watch out for coming up in the new year. I personally will be making my resolutions after Uranus direct so that I kind of know better what I'm looking for and what's going to happen. We also have Venus moving into Capricorn on the 26th, which is next week, next Tuesday. So the next show will be that day unless I decide to have a replay. But right now I haven't decided for sure. So keep an eye out on the promotions. I put them up on Facebook. All of my upcoming shows will be listed on Facebook after I've created them, and also on Blog Talk. So I'm just looking over some of the planetary aspects. Let's see, Mercury goes direct on the 22nd of December. So literally, actually, I'm going to look it up here. Yes, 8:51 p.m. So Friday. So we just have, if you're paying attention to all this Mercury stuff, just till Friday, and then we have to kind of renovate those things that we were going over in that period. It'll be like a final culmination of what's going on with that, and then we can move back forward, yay, into Capricorn and more pragmatism. And like I said, Mercury in Capricorn is also going to be very literal discussion and discourse. It's going to be not really getting jokes, very down to earth, very literal speaking. It's not going to be dramatic. It's going to be point blank and to the point. And so you'll see a huge difference after 13th of January when Mercury gets into Capricorn. So let's see what else is going on here. I have Neptune at 11 Pisces, and so that means that he is kind of eking out last square to Mercury. Mercury will end at 13 degrees retrograde in Sag, which is just 2 degrees shy of Neptune. Neptune is now direct, so it is moving into that square. It won't completely culminate, but it will get close, and that means the oceans are going to be in play. Travel and issues around oceans. I'm guessing something is going to be coming up around a ocean going vessel. So, it seems like they have a lot of trouble in the Sea of Japan or over there by Japan with the Navy. There may be another issue where there could be an accident over there again. They seem to have a lot of their issues when we get Mercury and Neptune planetary squares lately. So, look to some type of incident around oceans, or Neptune also rules oil. There could be another oil incident / accident. Mercury is my sign for my planet for accidents. So be super careful. Be aware of your surroundings. And, for you in the northern climes, watch out for like black ice and things like that, because, especially with Saturn going into a cold sign, Capricorn, we will see cold come in. It's going to be probably cold and wet for Christmas. Saturn is going to chill things out, which can give us black ice. And even though it's going to be in a sign that's cooperative with Neptune, Mercury in that square is probably going to have a little more influence, at least for the next week. And then Mercury going back into Sag, or going back direct in Sagittarius, is going to kind of, I would say, possibly re-inflame some of the fires in California. And five planets and lights were all in Sagittarius last week when it all flared up again. So just be aware. Saturn moving into Capricorn, like I said, is volcanoes, it's earthquakes. I've been watching a man named Dutch Since, Dutchsinse, on YouTube. And he is really good with earthquake prediction. He has created a science of it, and he has been nailing all these earthquakes that have been popping up around the world. And he has even fulcrum. There will be an earthquake in one place and an earthquake in another, and the distance between the two is the fulcrum. And pretty much his whole theory is that that center point actually will get hit, and they have been getting hit. And there's also some volcanoes in some of these, so they've been going off or been more active. So, it's really good to be aware of what's going on around the Earth. And he was even saying, I found it really interesting, he was saying, yeah, last year around this time I had an increase again too. And I don't remember specifically what was going on last year as far as specific planetary positions. But on the 21st of December, Sun goes into Capricorn, and that definitely connects to Earth and volcanoes. And so that didn't surprise me. I said, I know that there were some major retrogrades going direct on Christmas last year, and I think he said there was an earthquake, and I want to say Indonesia, but I can't remember. It was on Christmas Day, I think. But he noticed that there was an increase of activity in December as well, and I did text him on one of his videos saying, astrology is saying there's an increase in activity right now, and the way he predicts is very similar to how astrologers do, like or at least specifically me, how I go through and I see what's happening, and then I infer what will happen from that. And he kind of does the same thing. How do we see aspects as they come through? Are they touching each other? Is there a midpoint that might be triggered? Things like that. I haven't really talked much about midpoints, but midpoints are just the distance between two planets that are in aspect, and it can create a dynamic. And especially if there is a square, the midpoint between two squares, semi-square, can create a friction point too if it's triggered in your chart. But, there are many main aspects that I don't generally get down into the secondary aspects like that. I have a lot to talk about with the primary aspects, so we'll continue to look at that. Today, Moon is at 12 degrees Capricorn, and that means that the Moon is in sextile to Neptune. Now, sextile is probably the one aspect that, in my book, is positive. It doesn't tend to have any negative attached to it like a trine might. An adjustment area, but it is a positive cooperative energy. That means they are 60 degrees apart in a 360-degree wheel in the sky. And so you're going to see cooperation with authority and emotion, with pragmatism and our feelings. So the moon is in a pragmatic sign, and Neptune is in its own sign, and that means water, emotions, visions, sentimentality, and connectedness to a deeper understanding of life. And the moon, which rules a lot of our transient emotions and our interest in cooking and wanting to be in a safe place, it's in Capricorn, so it is feeling more safe. I mean, I can tell you financially, they're saying that a lot of markets are going up right now. I do have to tell you that that's probably going to come, don't want to say the C word, but back down to the pragmatic earth plane and more, well, what about the future? What about this? What about that? And going to be much more about planning as Saturn goes into Capricorn and less about speculation. Speculation will probably be part of it, at least initially, with Uranus in Taurus, but Taurus energy for Uranus is going to insist on a certain amount of pragmatism. And I think I talked last time about the cryptocurrency or Bitcoin and Litecoin, like that. It's going to be trying to understand how to make that work as a currency. We're going to start to see much more interest in that. And I even talked to my son about that yesterday, and he said he bought some Litecoin. I recommended he buy Litecoin, and he did the research, and he did buy it, and it went up, it tripled on him, and he did not buy Bitcoin. And I thought that was interesting. I thought he had bought Bitcoin, but Bitcoin has been seeing tremendous growth. But like you said, the Litecoin option tripled, and the Bitcoin, it's so much for a single Bitcoin. You would have had to have bought it at or 5,000 to even see that benefit now, because people can even afford one whole Bitcoin. When they say Bitcoin's at 20,000, they mean one Bitcoin is $20,000. So that's tremendous. And by contrast, Litecoin is now 300 for one Litecoin. So and it is an online currency. I'm not trying to take up the time here on air with that financial stuff, because I can guarantee you we're going to be talking mid-year with Uranus going to Taurus. That's what it's about. It's about unusual alternative currency. And so it is going to be probably ramping up more in my discussion. And so if you have questions, I really want to encourage you to get active on social media with me if you want. I'm on Astrologer Angel on Instagram. I have an Astrologer Angel page on Facebook. And I do Twitter also, but I'm not on Twitter as much as Astrologer Angel, mostly Facebook and Instagram. And I really building my Instagram following. So if you want to go over there and look me up there, that would be really wonderful. I'm going to probably do most of my posting about what's going on with the planets on Instagram. So anyway, we've got Mars in Scorpio. Again, Scorpio is intensity, it's sexuality and femininity, believe it or not. It is women's power and expressing it, coming up on Jupiter at 14 Scorpio. So more about looking behind what's truly presented to you. So Jupiter is travel and Scorpio is the depths. This is finding out what makes different cultures tick. This is about getting to the heart of the matter and bringing out the truth that has been discovered in that particular realm in other countries. And, and interestingly, when I was in Hawaii, I had always had this kind of superficial view of Hawaii, like whatever was presented. And it was really, I went in with absolutely no preconceived notions about what Maui was. I mean, even watch videos that a lady I know has of Maui. And I still went in going, whatever happens, happens. I want to see what it is for myself. And that's the energy of Jupiter and Scorpio. So we're going to be seeing more seeking out the truth around whatever is presented to us for the express learning experience. So Mercury still at 14 Sag, Venus at 22 Sagittarius. So she's experiencing the Leo energy right now, the last of the fire signs in that decan, which is the last 10 degrees. So Venus and Sun both in the last 10 degrees along with Saturn. So until tonight, when Saturn goes into Capricorn, we're going to have a lot of final burning of some of that extra energy, extra desire to go and play and be social. I'm going to be getting to talk with a friend, see my son, hang out with my daughter, do some Christmas shopping, all those fun things that Sagittarius brings in. Saturn going into Capricorn, so overnight and into tomorrow, I really think we're going to start to see a strong shift around, but back up what you're telling me. If you tell me a lie, I won't take it well. It really is the parent not tolerating lies anymore. And so we're going to see a lot of shifts around how the government handles truth telling, how the government deals with the day-to-day business of the government. And it rules taxes. Well, I should qualify that. Technically, 8th house Scorpio energy is about legalities and taxes, but because Capricorn is government, and definitely I see that taxes under the government umbrella, there's definitely a Capricorn connection to it. And insurance for me, even though insurance might fall 8th house for some reason, taxes and insurance for me are very much more Capricorn. So anyway, we will see more focus on taxes, insurance after the beginning of the year, which interestingly and not coincidentally happened to be the time when people reassess their insurance and start planning for their taxes coming up in April. We have Neptune, like I said, at 11 in Pisces. So Neptune's just plugging away just into the next decan, which is the Cancer decan. So it is today, especially with a sextile to the moon, Neptune in the middle water decan, which is Cancer. So we are wanting to be more around the home life, secure, and probably getting inside and just being cozy for the holidays. That's going to be a real strong energy for the next day and a half. Not that it won't still be there, especially after Saturn goes into Capricorn, but being the moon is, cuddling up, and Neptune definitely likes to hole up inside the house and watch Netflix because it's all about film. Okay, Pluto's at 18 Capricorn, so the moon will be joining up with Pluto today. Definitely a shift in awareness around how the government interacts with women, how we are homeland and what's going on with homeland. There is a sextile between Jupiter and Mars today, and then sextile continuing between the moon over the next day. And of course, Pluto and Jupiter will be in sextile for a while, for a few weeks. So actually a couple weeks, and then a retrograde and all sorts of things coming up in the new year. But now Jupiter is approaching that sextile to Pluto. So change around how we interact with foreign policy, foreigners, and people in our country of foreign descent. It's a sextile, so it's much more cooperative. I want to say yay. We're having that coming in. So yay. Uranus at 24, Aries in trine to Saturn. That is, again, a strong aspect, especially with a shift today. So we're going to probably have something coming up around a final male. I would say probably somebody, a male figure, having more allegations against them, sexual allegations. I think that today, even up as far as early next year until Uranus goes direct at the beginning of next year, it's going to be a wrapping up of some of these issues around bad behavior, around male energy or aggression. So it is the bullying energy. Uranus and Aries has brought that up into our awareness over the course of its time in the sign. And then Saturn goes into Capricorn. So again, pragmatism. You're going to hear that word a lot, so I apologize. I'll try and come up with more synonyms, but that's what it is. So anyway, let's get into some readings here after a quick break, and then we can we can find out more about the planets through other people's charts. Oh my gosh, it seems Christmas decorations appear earlier every year. What next? After the 4th of July? I know I've found myself saying this very same thing. It may seem that the Christmas season is encroaching on Thanksgiving, but with more people out as the clock strikes midnight on Black Friday, it makes sense to get a head start. This year, you'll be able to shop for everyone on your list at one place and online. With the bright, whimsical, and realistic art options at charmhollow.com, you are bound to find art for everyone's taste. But if it isn't art you want, we have photography too. If you like Disney, you will find items with Cinderella's castle on them. If you're a Harry Potter fan, we have photos of Diagon Alley. And we have mugs, t-shirts, shower curtains, phone cases, and chargers. We also have tote bags as well as art prints of all sorts and greeting cards. With reasonable prices and in support of the arts, stop by charmhollow.com. You'll be glad you did. And welcome back. You are listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show with me, Shelley Overton, and I am an astrologer in Orlando, Florida. If you are interested in getting a reading, a full reading, a mini reading, or just a chart, you can get me at astrologerangel.com. And the last ad I'm going to give you is for ShelleyOverton.com. That's another place that I have a lot of art that I display. All of the art that I make, I eventually put up on that site. And so you can see a broad range of different art that I've done. So, hey, Christmas is next week. If you haven't gotten anything, there's all sorts of different things, merchandise with my art on it. Anyway, that's all. So I won't bend your ear about that anymore. Let's see who we have on the phone lines. 561. Hi, 561. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Shelley. How are you?
James, what are you up to?
It's me. I'm at work.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry you've been on hold for so long, but I was very chatty, wasn't I?
No,
what can I do for you?
I always love it.
Oh, good. Oh,
I'm
thanks.
just wondering if anything's sticking out in my chart that you've noticed.
Well, the thing I see most is the movement of Saturn into Capricorn is going to be right within 3 degrees of your Neptune in the House of Marriage and Partnership this coming year. So all the yeah. Have you been feeling, do you have someone that you're dating?
I have someone that I'm dating, but I don't think it's going to go very far. Okay. So I'm open.
Okay. Well, it's coming in. I think really Saturn always wants us, on top of Neptune, wants us to be real clear about what it is we need, because Neptune kind of feels like need in our lives, okay? It's like, I can't deal with it this way anymore. I have to make a change. I have to do something to make it right and move towards my ideal. And that's what Neptune is. It's your ideal in your life. So I'm just looking at what else is going on for you coming up. So Uranus is in your house of money from career. It's in soul groups. It's on Venus. Well, I take it back. Visually, it's on Venus. It's not. It's 8 degrees away from your Venus. But you've dealt with that over the last year. And so now it's saying you really need to find some kind of independence, and you really need to find your soul group. Uranus is the ruler of your soul group in the house of your soul group. So that's what it wants you to do. And it's more practical coming up. It is finishing up the old story. So it's your Venus, your Mercury, your Sun, and Aries. The story you've been having to deal with over the last 8 years, maybe 6 years, that's kind of wrapping up in the last 5 months, 6 months of this coming year. Yeah, and then it's going to move on. You will just have one small bloop of it going back next year, but it's not going to be hitting any of those degrees in your chart. It won't be hitting your Venus. It will be at the last degrees of Aries, kind of where it's at now when it retrogrades. So I don't even know that it's going to get all the way back to 24, which is where it's at now. Let me look real quick and see how far back it goes before it goes back direct next year. 29, it gets to 28. So it's really, I think it's going to stay, we haven't even experienced, honestly, maybe briefly, but we haven't really been in the degrees Aries, or Uranus in Aries is at. So that's the story. I mean, probably from now until May, whatever that story is as far as money from work or getting self-promotion, energy in gear, that's what you're going to be dealing with the rest of the year, the second half of the year as well. And so it's really kind of the last year, because there is that small amount of time in December and then a couple months in the beginning of 2019 where Uranus is going to be triggering some of these issues that we've been dealing with about male asserting themselves, the masculine energy. And then it's going to go into much more, like I said, down to earth. What am I doing to practically get money going the way I want independently? Finances are going to start to really shift and change. I really think our retail experience is in for a huge shift in the next 2 years. And so if you're paying attention to what's going on online and local distribution, I don't know if you have any of that. I think we talked about what you do for a living, and I'm sorry, there's so many callers. I don't know what you do. Tell me what you do.
I work for government.
Government. Oh my gosh. Well, that's going to be an interesting thing. Yeah, that's going to change. Saturn in Scorpio is your government connection. And let's see. Yeah, that's in your house of work. And Jupiter will be there at the end of next year. So I think that story could be wrapping up what you're doing there. I think by the end of next year, career-wise, that's when the major shift happens, because Uranus will be more wrapping up the old story around the work and then going into the new story, and you'll have some hints of that throughout the year. And then Jupiter will be right on your Saturn next year, which is fortune. So there is expansion of fortune coming in. So I wouldn't be afraid of it, but there is the death of something symbolically, which is Scorpio energy. And that'll come November of next year. But yeah, so you are in a transition phase. It's going to be, let me just see when that starts, when you get a direct hit at 27. It's the end of October next year is when Jupiter will be conjunct your Saturn. So if you're planning on staying there, I think October of next year is when it's really going to be like, this doesn't work for me in this current state anymore. So, but you'll be feeling it.
I am getting the hell out of here as soon as I can get out of here.
Yeah, September of next year is when Jupiter gets into the work and out of creativity, and it's in the South Node, which is the karma. So really what it's doing is it's showing you, ultimately for your story next year, it's going to be showing you about where have I been not paying attention to my needs and what I have to do in my life, and maybe giving away too much or being not engaged in the storyline. And it's a karmic thing. You've got in September, Jupiter will be on your South Node, and right after that in October, Jupiter on your Saturn, and they're only 9 degrees apart. So you start this energy in September, and that's when it's going to be much more about freedom and freedom to follow your deep inner wisdom, the guidance, because you came into this world with the South Node energy. It's your familiar zone. So it's like, I know how to do this. I've done this before. And so whatever issues are going on in work, definitely Jupiter, when it came in August, or I think it was September, like September 9th, that hit your Pluto right away. And that's major life change, and it's transition, and it's wanting to have freedom to play and enjoy your life. That's what Jupiter tries to bring to the table. In Scorpio, it has a little tougher time getting Scorpio people to lighten up. And for you, the Pluto and Scorpio, Saturn and Scorpio, it's like that's where it's having to get your attention. So what it's going to do is it's going to make that area of your life more extreme, okay, so that you get the message.
Wow.
Yeah, and Mars is right there near Jupiter. So, I'm not necessarily saying you won't leave that job before then, because those feelings are going to get more and more intense. And I also see Vesta's right Jupiter now in Scorpio, which means there's also a female, could be a daughter or could be a romantic partner. It's someone who is making your life more difficult than you want it to be, and they're going to be around for a little while. So, and it's going to be going into work. So I'm guessing that this person, that situation could resolve, or it could slop over into your work environment. But I'm just letting you know, I don't know if this person you're seeing is from your work environment, but If she is,
it is. I know exactly
then
what
she's
you're
going to,
saying.
honestly, she's going to kind of make it difficult. But I want you to look at it like this is a person who is honestly triggering things that are already in your work environment. She's kind of bringing out what's already been in the vault, so to speak, because Vesta, the asteroid Vesta, again, is the Vestal Virgins keeping the documents, keeping the government documents. So she's going to be representative of what has been kept in a vault. And when it gets into the work environment, which, let me see if it happens before December. I haven't gotten my latest weekly planner yet. That's on my agenda this week to get a weekly planner. So I can only go to the end of December for you. But she gets to 22. Yeah, she'll get in there. She's going to get in, let me see, 18 degrees will be Friday. So I'm just giving you a heads up. She could make your life a little difficult at work. So I'm sorry.
Oh, Lordy. So used to that, but I'm ready. I'm ready to exit.
Yeah, well, you've got that energy. And Jupiter, Jupiter wants nothing more than freedom. And, Jupiter's going to get, let me see when Jupiter gets to 16. Hang on here. Got to go back and forth between my different ephemerae. It's going to be the beginning of next year. So kind of Jupiter's expansion of understanding and telling the truth. So you'll be able to tell your truth. And that's what the South Node is like, having the experience and wisdom to know how to deal with it. So after the beginning of the year, let me go back to my January ephemeris and see what goes on with that. Jupiter at 16, 18. You need it to get to 1807. After the 9th of January, Jupiter's going to be there, and that gives you a lot of power in the workplace. You're kind of like, I want to say like a golden boy, going into that energy. So there may be some of that stress up until then, but you're going to be able to handle it. Don't worry. And it might end in you leaving because Jupiter wants to move on. It doesn't want to stick around. And when it comes to your house of work, you're like, I don't need to put up with this anymore. And it may mean you're going to exit before you have something. But I can tell you the beginning of the year is a whole new ballgame with Uranus going direct and now Saturn's in Capricorn. It's going to be a whole new thing. So you are in line to make your dreams come true, Saturn on your Neptune. So, the end of January. I'm actually looking at it now. I'm thinking you're probably going to end up leaving there in January because you have Jupiter going into your house of work, and then right after Saturn joins up your Neptune by the 24th of January. So that's a big month for you. Okay?
Oh, thank you, God. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and look for a partner. That's also about partnering with career. Neptune and Capricorn, it's partnering with career. And if you want to do dad or mom, that would also work because that house represents your mom. Okay? And Capricorn is dad, house is mom, so it's parents. Okay?
Parents. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And you just had, I say this and then let you go. You got a lot of stuff. You need a reading, a private reading. Pluto is literally just over into your house of dad, which is major shift and transition around the structure that you got from your father, like how you integrated dad as an entity in your life and with partners. So should be interesting. I can't wait to hear back, see how that all plays out. So,
I'm calling you. Oh, you will hear from me. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Well, you take care. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Let's go to 111. Hi, 111. How are you? I think that's an online call.
Hi, Shelley. Yes, I'm calling from Skype. It's Jane. How are you doing?
Hi, Jane. Good to talk to you. Fine. Have you called before? Because I don't see you. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I think I do. Are you June 18th?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, I've got you here. Wonderful. What can I do for you?
Yes. Want to know about my friendship with Aaron. His date of birth is the 11th of April, 75.
Okay, hang on a second.
Okay.
Was he born, and do you know the time?
I don't know the time, but London, Ontario.
Okay. Hang on a second. Let's see if I can do this without his birthday going away. Please just let me. Oh, yay. So we'll do a sunrise. That'll probably knock out his birthday. Yep, I'll have to put it back in again. Sorry.
Okay.
1975. There we go. And let me just set him up for you. 111111 Jane, just so we can find him again. Okay. So you want to know how that relationship looks?
Yeah, like we seem to have a good connection. And,
okay.
Okay.
Mhm. He's got a lot of Aries in his chart. Oh my gosh. He has Uranus on his Chiron right now, so he's been going through some issues with his life wounding, which is Chiron, and it has to do also with his ego. Is this somebody? It's either going to be someone who is very brash and able to present himself well, or has been the victim of someone who has been that way, like a bully situation. Do you know which that is?
No, first the first description fits him more. I think he could be that
More
like brash.
More there. Yeah. Okay. Well, he's definitely going through some stuff. It's interesting because Uranus on Chiron, it means things. Uranus tends to act as a mirror to us, and that energy it expresses in people being contrary, and so it makes us really want to fight and be, we can be really frustrated with that energy. So I'm guessing that he's got something going on with that. That was kind of important to tell you just because he has so much Aries. He's got Jupiter at 5 Aries, Mercury at 13 Aries, Moon at 18 Aries, Ascendant because we don't know his rising sign, and then Sun at 20, Chiron at 23. A lot of Aries energy. You also have the Aries Chiron in your chart. So you have kind of a similar energy around your wounding, whatever happened. It just means that, like when I see Chiron in Aries, it has to do with taking, like being who you are in a more assertive, aggressive sense, or being able to say, hey, I did this. I'm getting attention for this. This is my thing, like self-promotion, and this is who I am. It's owning the energy of your ego and of your sense of self and your sense of drive. And so you both have kind of that similar part in your life where you don't feel necessarily understood. And so that's one of your connections. His Neptune is on your moon, and that falls in your Virgo house. So he's actually there to heal you from some of your issues. And also, yeah, do you know, and you have Neptune in Scorpio at 28, so it's fairly close to his Neptune, but they're in two different signs. So your Neptune in Scorpio is really, this light came in to wrap up some more deeper psychological issues, especially around being of service to other people and helping people. And I think, let me just see some of the other planets. So you have an interesting energy in your chart. You have a lot of idealism, but you also you have some sentimentality, and then you're kind of, that's in conflict, I think, a little bit with your sense of wanting to take charge and express yourself outwardly. You do have this life, you're wrapping up a lot of different things. You have a late degree Sun, which is ego issues with Gemini. So you're wrapping up the ability to communicate your ideas and who you are, especially with Mercury in your 12th house. You really, the end degrees usually means a culmination or like an intensity of that energy of whatever sign it's in before it shifts to the new energy. So you came in wanting to finish up some old stories karmically. One is how you see yourself as a person who can communicate your truth. The other one is Pluto at late degree 24 Virgo. So it's an energy of life purpose around healing yourself and others and healing your family, because it's in your house of home and family. And you've also got a late degree Jupiter 26 Libra, so that's children and balance of children and understanding people of other cultures through children, and also social work, which is really big. I want to punctuate social work because the Libra energy, Jupiter energy, this is a big energy, especially with Uranus, or excuse me, his Uranus is on your Jupiter. It's really big around taking ownership of yourself, especially in the last year, of saying, hey, I love humanity, but I have my own needs that need to be met also. So he's kind of triggering some of that ability to express yourself as an individual. And let's see. And then he also has 17, or you have 17 Saturn, and he has Venus at 27 Taurus, both of you. And so there is, you ground him, and you kind of are the one who's saying, hey, put your money where your mouth is. I feel you. His Venus falls in your 12th house. So you're like, no, I get you. I know I know your feminine side. What I want you to be aware of, and I got chills just now when I had the thought to tell you this, is be aware of his masculine side. You can't ignore that, even though you see he has a feminine side. You resonate to the feminine side he has that he hasn't necessarily shown. He can admire status and achievement and things like that, and you get where he's coming from in that sense, what his desires are, because that's Venus in Taurus, and it's his Venus in your 12th house. But he has a lot of this other energy that can't be ignored, and that's the masculine side of things. So I do see with Neptune on your moon, he may be a transitionary interest, because he's there to show you how to nurture yourself and how to heal yourself and to grow. Not only is his Neptune on your moon, his Neptune is in Sagittarius, which is expansion of your sense of freedom around work, and then his Saturn's on your Mars. So it's interesting that his Saturn is on your masculine expression of Mars, and your Saturn's on his feminine expression of Venus. So, and they are cooperative, like that means that there is a connectedness, and even potentially a very strong link where you could go forward. I mean, it could be a long time commitment. I would have to take more time to look at the interactions with aspects, but he has his 29-degree Aquarius Mars on your midheaven, so he's going to bring you some attention, and it's on your North Node. And Vesta's also right there. So I'm guessing that there's another woman, but it could be the wrapping up. She could be a difficult energy, though. She kind of comes between the fortune that you could bring him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a lot. It's like a mixed bag of things, but there's definitely a lot going on in the charts. So, and your Uranus and his Pluto are within 3 degrees of each other, and Uranus for you is, again, your independence. You're wanting to be free of home life and home situation, and I think a lot of the energy you get from your view of how to deal with people and how to be a compassionate person comes from your Pluto and Uranus in Libra at last degrees of your house of home and family. And he's come in saying, yeah, I get that. I get your wanting to be compassionate. But what about you? And what about having fun? And he might bring some of that fun energy into your life. So. Yeah.
But
he's not making money in security. I can guarantee you that. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope that helps.
Well,
I've just enough time for one more call, but thank you for your call, and I hope you have a great holiday. You're welcome. Bye. Same to you. Thanks. Bye. Okay, let's take another call here. 817. Hi, 817. How are you?
Hey, Shelley. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. It's Nancy from Arkansas.
Oh, thank you. Oh, there you are. It was getting a little broken up for a second, so I've got you now. No, it's all good. I can hear you fine. What can I do for you in a quick couple minutes?
Well, you've got Saturn crossing the front into our both Mark and my rising is Capricorn. He's a Capricorn.
Yeah.
His Capricorn's he's got a 2-degree cap, sun sign in the 12th house, and Saturn's going to hit right on that. Although he's only 50, he's too early for a Saturn return. So
yeah, about 56. But if it's hitting his house of his rising sign, it's still going to affect him. It's still a sense of self.
Well, it's hitting his sun. It's It's
right.
in his sun is a 2-degree Capricorn.
I'm thinking I think I have the wrong chart for you. I'm trying to find it here. Hang on a second. I don't know why I have it. Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm sorry. It was one above where I went to. Okay.
Well,
and
with
let
all
me
these
look at
transits going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Neptune and Uranus and all these shifting around in Jupiter.
Yeah.
Seems like it's hitting a lot of my major points because I have.
Okay, let me look at you real quick here. Yeah, I mean, it's going to affect all of us. This next 2 weeks is a really big shift for everyone. Having two major planets, one turns direction, one changes signs. That's going to affect us. It's like, whoa, where did that come from? So I'm going to just put you two next to each other here real quick. So, yeah, the shift, I mean, you have a 2-degree Capricorn rising. It's like, boom, you're shifting from, Saturn in your 12th. So you've got the Neptune, you've got the Jupiter energy.
That's not mine. Mine, I have Capricorn 13-degree rising with the Saturn's in my first house conjunct Jupiter.
Okay, I've got you at 1:05 a.m.
1:50 a.m.
Oh no, this says 1:05.
3:29:61.
1:05 p.m. What time were you born?
A.m. 1:50 a.m.
Oh, 1:50. That's what it is. Yeah, I put it in. I must have misunderstood when you told me initially. Okay. There you go. Let's replace it. Okay, so, yeah, let me look. Oh, okay, yeah. So, no, that's the 12th house. And he's got a 15. Is that accurate?
His is 15, correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, good. So, yeah, you guys really are, you're like little soul twins. Amazing. So what is your question?
Well, with the Saturn coming in on top of all of this, or shifts, just wondering, work-wise, health-wise, you mentioned something about health and aches and pains. I thought that was interesting because he's kind of got that feeling going on right now. Didn't know if you saw anything major with his health in there.
Okay, well, both of you, I usually look to either Mercury, which for him, Mercury's retrograde, and he's within 4 degrees of a Mercury return. He has 18-degree Sagittarius Mercury. So definitely Mercury can bring up some issues. Capricorn is about the joints and about the bones. So if he's experiencing health issues, I can tell you 2 things that I know about that. I'm not a medical astrologer. I'm not a medical intuitive, but I do pay attention to coincidental, I guess, for lack of a better word, energies. And one is you can pick up earth shifts in your bones. When they say my bones, you can feel weather in your bones. I personally feel like earthquakes in my bones, believe it or not. And, earth shifts, because I'll have intense energy going on in my joints and in my neck when things happen in the bone. And so there can be that. And then the other thing is you're going to feel like again, like I said, if diet is off, especially like gluten, you can feel that in your joints. And that's Capricorn's territory. So I would say if he's having bone/joint issues, look to either intuitive connections or to diet. And, maybe if he could change those. Is there another type of health issue he's having? And if you don't want to say it on the air, that's understandable.
Well,
just give me the general region.
He has high cholesterol, but that's general. That's just genetic, and he does not use medicines and such. But he has been having those joint issues and bone issues, and he is very intuitive. And maybe he's never looked towards that because he does have these on again, off again.
Yeah, I'd recommend that because, and even you have Jupiter in Aquarius, which rules ankles. And I think that's even more like cartilage to me. To me, I assign Aquarius to like cartilage and ankles. And then Capricorn can be also cartilage, but it's really like that ache in the joints. And I get kind of like non-specific ache in the joints. It could be cartilage, but joint pain. And so you've got that late degree Saturn and Cap conjunct Jupiter. So you might have more ankle issues. And that can also, and in a holistic viewpoint, it resonates to having your grounding and are you solid with how you're grounded? And for you, it would be about your sense of self. Are you grounded around who you are and what you want to do and your security within who you are in this life, because Saturn's in your first house, and his Saturn, just double checking, do I have the right one for him? What year? He was 66? He was born in 66? Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I didn't realize you had different Saturns, but his is in Pisces. And so and definitely he's got Saturn in a Taurus house, which is, again, the physicality of things. The second house is your body. So I want to tell you, Saturn in the second house next to Chiron, I think he picks up stuff from other people, and Chiron's right on his Saturn. So I think he's intuitively picking up, and I do too. I do both. Like, I have my own issues, but I also pick up other people's stuff. One time I got plantar fasciitis pains when my friend was having that particular issue. So, and as soon as I recognized it was hers, it honestly went away. So I would suggest to him that he is highly suggestible when it comes to physical pain. And that's part of his radar.
Thank you for that perspective, because he has these weird things that come on him out of nowhere. And it's like, where did this sickness come from? He eats very well. He's a chef by trade. So he cooks very healthy for the most part, and he gets these weird sicknesses, and he has the hypochondriac thing, the Capricorn. So he starts overthinking it, and it's like, I love that, because that way he can really focus in on whose energy is he picking up, and maybe sending him some healing.
Well, the other thing that kind of drives the point home for me is the fact that Saturn is in his 12th house, coming up on his Sun in Capricorn in the 12th, which is the Pisces house. And then today, Moon is conjunct his Venus in Capricorn, so it's about to go into the first house for him, join up with Pluto. But again, it's the hidden. And so all his Capricorn, the beginning 15 degrees is in the 12th, which is, you got to remember Pisces is very intuitive. And when you have the Capricorn there, his radar is his body. And then you have Saturn in Pisces. So Saturn rules Capricorn. It's in Pisces with intuition. So, so when Saturn goes into Capricorn, it will start to be in cooperation with his Saturn in Pisces, because they're sextile. They're 60 degrees apart. So he's going to really start to understand the mind-body-spirit connection with what he's picking up, and get much more grounded about how he interacts with his body in that way.
Wow.
Especially
That's
Uranus.
So interesting.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. That makes so much sense now. You don't. Yeah, and then doctors you just don't want to waste your time or energy to get into that field. But oh my gosh, that's something totally to look at. Yeah,
I'm an herbalist and a holistic practitioner, and I do Reiki, and so that's what I always look to the mind, body, spirit, because like I said, I was on vacation with all of my aunts and uncles, and so many older generation, they just immediately run to the doctor for the pills, and that just drives me nuts, So again, I will say, for anyone who comes to this program, I'm not a medical practitioner, not a doctor. I have an astrology show, but I also have a personal holistic belief system that supports alternative health, because I, like your husband, have Uranus conjunct Pluto in Virgo. So that's holistic health. That's alternative health. So I would suggest pay close attention to the greens he ingests and the people he puts himself around, and just be aware of it and start to make connections. And then honestly, like I said, what I did is, as soon as I realized whose stuff I was picking up, I kind of cleared it and I cut cords with it, and I acknowledged it. And if I can, I tell that person, hey, I'm picking up this. You might want to look into this or that herb or whatever, just pass it on to the person it's for, so that I really look at it as a message that I'm supposed to give to someone, and try and do something positive for them. So I hope that helps.
He is. That is awesome. Very much. Very awesome.
Yeah.
He's a healer. He can do distant healing as well.
He's got to clear that energy. Tell him clear his energy. He will probably feel better after he clears it all.
Yeah. I will get the gong out.
Good for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Shelley. I really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
That was really
my
good
pleasure.
clarity. Thank you.
Oh, it's good talking to you. Thank you. Take care. Have a great holiday season. Okay. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so that's the end of the show, wrapping up. I'm sorry I couldn't get to more people, and I'm probably going to have to make it a little bit longer show next time. I'll see if I'm going to, the next show or the one after will be my 2018 show about what all we can expect. So that way I can really include everything I'm trying to get to. So anyway, happy holidays. I think it'll be the 26th next week. So if I don't talk to you, well, I won't probably talk to you before Christmas. Merry Christmas. Also, happy Hanukkah. Today's last, I don't know how many days. I think 12 days. No, 9, 10. Today's 10, I think. Anyway, whatever it is, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy New Year, happy everything. Be happy. Take care. See you next time. Thanks for stopping by AstroEnergy this week. If you would like to get a hold of Shelley Overton, you can get her at astrologerangel.com, on Facebook at AstroEnergy or Astrologer Angel. The music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com with additional music by Ironwood Rain. Check them out on the net at ironwoodrain.com. To subscribe, please click the picture of Shelley on the right or the red button below.